Raising kids takes constant adjustments. Every day and week and month, kids are changing rapidly and it can feel impossible to keep up, much less actually get ahead of the changes. We think like it's just a phase, right? It'll get easier, right? But what if we stopped thinking that those phases should be wished away or hurried through? What if each phase in a kid's life was a unique, like once in their lifetime, opportunity for us to influence their future? Whining toddler, dramatic fifth grader, stressed out 10th grader, no matter what it is, it's challenging to keep adjusting to the phases that our kids go through. But when we go through them, when we grow with them, we get to help them believe and imagine and care for others and relate well and trust and reason and improve and lead, make a difference, and most importantly, actually grow into an adult that knows and loves the God that made them in His image and become the type of person that He created them to be. For this phase, we'll hear from Taylor Hunt, who leads middle school and high schoolers and mission students. They love to party with a purpose, form real and lasting friendships, and help students own their own faith as they start to launch as adults. Here we go.
So the teenage years, this is the season of slam doors, of crying kiddos, of throwing phones, of yelling matches, of new hairdos, new friends, of big blow-ups, of shutdowns, the season where your little buddy all of a sudden seems to have been eaten by a troll or that he has turned into a troll, a season of new smells, new experiences, new jokes, new words like yeet, suh, lit, bet. I don't even know what those means, but this is just a season of new and a season of change. I've worked with middle school and high school students for a number of years, and where I was at before being here at Mission, one time I had a couple parents come up to me, and they began to tell me about their sweet little boy who used to want to cuddle up with daddy, who used to want to have lots of family time and would want to hang out, and who looked nice and was very presentable, but now as he's gotten older, he's turned into someone who never comes out of his room, who has hair in all these gross places, who's big and strong, and he smells weird and looks funky and always wants to play video games and has temper tantrums and yells and is angry and breaks things. And they wanted me to come to their house to have a conversation because they thought that their sweet little boy might have been invaded by an evil or demonic spirit. And I'm not here to downplay spiritual warfare at all, but I was just looking at them and like, maybe he also is just a teenager. I don't know, but the teenage years are a lot of new and a lot of weird. I'm not trying to downplay spiritual warfare or anything like that, but the reality is this is the season that your student is walking into one of the most crucial and life-changing seasons in their lives. And for some of us, man, this might be the hardest season that we've ever walked into. The toddler and elementary years, they were fun, but they were physically tiring. Like these years are mentally tiring, mentally exhausting. I heard someone describe it one time, almost like whenever your kid becomes a teenager, an elementary kid, it's like the difference between cats and dogs, where elementary kids are like dogs, they're cuddly, they want to be around you, just need to be petted sometimes and have a conversation, want to go out and play fetch or take a walk. But teenagers are more like cats, where if you say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, are the wrong thing, man, the claws come out and they will scratch you and take you down, or they only come around whenever they want to get something from you. And every week, man, I see parents, I run into people who have received some claw marks from teenagers, some words that are nasty, the fights, the hard drama. Like this is the phase that can be fun, where humor starts to match up, where they start to feel more like friends, where their gifts start to be uncovered, where they'll start to carve out their character, they'll be able to make a difference on the basketball court, in their band rooms, on the soccer field, where they'll be so proud of watching their hard work, where they'll start to ask good questions, where you'll actually want to hang out with them and be around them, and will there have moments of maturity that you never thought possible. But those things only happen if we lean in this season. This season, when we do this season, right, these teenage years, it sets you up for friendship for life with your kids. If you want to be like Rory and Lorelai, like you've got to do these teenage years well, but that only comes after you've been the coach and you've been the guide. The biggest thing that we can do as parents and loved ones of middle school and high school students during these teenage years is to lean in, and you're going to be tempted to lean out. You're going to want to coast sometimes. You're not going to want to have that hard conversation or to engage in that conflict. You'll want to quit, but man, lean in. Even when you want to yell and scream and fight with them, don't do it. Lean in, because this season, what they're going through and where they're at, this is actually one of the biggest brain development times that has ever happened in their entire lives. I read recently that we underestimate babies, but we actually overestimate teenagers, meaning that we think that they should act like adults when the reality is they aren't adults. Like, they might be bigger than you, they might be taller than you, but they don't have the brain hardware yet where they actually act like an adult. So that's why we have to give them grace. And this is a season where their brains actually are developing at a rate that is similar to when they were a toddler. And their body will grow and change as well as their brain. But this is also why they sometimes act like a toddler. Like, the teenage years are usually this roller coaster. We're on the highs and the lows, where sometimes they're throwing tantrums like a toddler, but then at other times you have these glimpses and these moments of adult-like experiences. And so sometimes they're going to be mature and you're going to be so proud, and other times you're going to be like, what in the world just happened? Why are you melting down and crying on the floor? But our job, and the ups and the downs, is to stay right in the middle and to stay consistent. Because while their brain is developing so fast, they're forming their identity, and this is when they really begin to find out who they are becoming. And there's some big questions that pop up among the teenage years, and these questions actually get recycled in middle school and high school, but the biggest thing that they want to know in this season is who cares. Like, that's the question that they're asking in 6th grade, in 9th grade. It all starts with they want to know who cares. And so our job as parents and loved ones of teenagers is to affirm and provide stability. And then in 7th and 10th grade, they're wanting to know, who am I? And our goal is to help them discover their own unique identity. In 8th grade and then 11th and 12th grade, they want to know, who do I want to be? And our job is to provide, to help them experience significance, to help them understand and realize who it is that they were created to be. So in this season, what your student needs from you more than anything, more than phones, more than technology, more than a fun time, what your student needs more than anything during this season is they just need acceptance. They need unconditional love. They need a safe place where they can fully be themselves, where they can be known and loved amidst the chaos and amidst the craziness that is the teenage years. And they also need consistency. Like, they need you to not go on the roller coaster with them. They need a consistent place, consistent rules, consistent care, consistent connection, and a consistent place that they can anchor into in the midst of all of their inconsistencies. In the middle school through sophomore years, so 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, in this season, it's where their brain is beginning to function like an engineer. So they're beginning to put all the pieces of the puzzle back together. They're beginning to ask these big questions in life. And so our job is to help be like a coach to them. So whenever you think of yourself parenting through these years, think of yourself as a coach, and you help their engineer minds put those pieces back together in the right place. And so what they need to know is that they're accepted. They need to know that you accept them, that God accepts them, that even when they yell and scream and have a mental breakdown, they need to know that they are accepted and known. I mean, socially, they're looking for acceptance from everywhere and everyone. I mean, it's like the writer of the song, looking for love in all the wrong places. That has to be about like the teenage years, because they are looking for where they fit in. They're looking for who likes me. I mean, you'll see this all the time in the way that they dress, where one month they have blue hair and skinny jeans, then the next month they've got Vans and they're all about skateboarding, and then the next month they're all about basketball, and then the next month they're all about Fortnite, and then the next month they're still all about Fortnite. But this is the season where students will put on different identities, and they will gravitate to where they're affirmed. They will do whatever, say whatever, and be whatever if it means finding acceptance and belonging. So your job is to affirm them, to accept this. And side note, parents, like, this is the phase where some of their friends actually begin to change. Like, their childhood best friend might cease to be their friend in this season. Like, their friend that they were inseparable from, who was so nice and sweet, like, she might turn out to be the mean and nasty girl in the lunchroom. So when their friends are changing, you've got to be the one that comes in and accepts them. And in this season, in this crazy season of change, in this crazy season of looking for love in all the wrong places, that's why your student more than ever needs those two big things from you: acceptance and consistency. And this is what consistency looks like practically. Like, they need consistency amidst all the inconsistent feelings, friends, classes, relationships, heartbreaks, dates, class hours, teachers. So you need to have a consistent reaction. Like your student will be on the roller coaster, but you stay in the middle. Don't yell when they yell. Don't fight when they fight. Don't argue when they want to argue, because they're going on a ride that they don't want to be on themselves, and they don't want you to go on it either. So have a consistent reaction to them and help them to know that the way that God is amidst all of their inconsistencies is that he is a consistent presence that they can rely on and lean on amidst all of it. So help them to know that you are consistent and that God is consistent. And another way you can do this is by having consistent rules. Like, remember, parents, this is where you lean in during this season. Like, the teenage years is not the time to give them the keys to the kingdom and to give them all the freedom in the world. Like, rules don't inhibit a relationship, rules actually enable a relationship. I remember whenever I was growing up, my best friend through my elementary and teenage years, he never had any rules. Like, he could do whatever he wanted, stay out as late as he wanted. And whenever I was a teenager, I was pretty jealous of him because my parents had lots of rules that I had to follow after. But I'll never forget when I was in college, I came back home and I was hanging out with that friend one night, and he looked at me with tears in his eyes, and he was talking to me about how he just wished that his dad would have enforced some rules, something I never thought I'd hear him say. But he said that he wished that just once, when he came home super late, that his dad would have gotten up and would have checked on him. He wished that just once his dad would have gotten mad at him for doing something dumb. He wished that just once that his dad cared enough about him to set some rules and some boundaries. So don't think that rules inhibit your relationship with your kid. Remember, this is the season where you're a coach. You're not trying to be their best friend. You are trying to help them to be set up to succeed in life. So set some consistent rules. And don't change the rules from time to time. Don't change the rules every now and then depending on how you're feeling. Set consistent rules that they know that they can follow through with, that they can set up. So set consistent rules around technology, phone use, and screen time. And when it comes to phones, parents, I'm just saying, you should be checking them all the time. Like, check their Snapchat, look at their messages, read their DMs. It's not an invasion of privacy. It's a sign that you care. And plus, you're paying for the phone anyways, so you can take it and check it. But also set rules around curfews, chores, around friendships, around how they're supposed to act around the house, things like that. Set some consistent rules. And also in those rules, man, fight lying to the death. I heard somebody say once recently that in their family they started using this mantra, like, when I don't get it right, I make it right. And so if you mess up, or if they mess up, tell them that they can out themselves and that it won't be as bad. If they tell you they messed up, don't make the punishment as bad. But if you find out that something happened and they didn't tell you, that's when you can make the punishment worse. And privileges comes because they're following by the rules, and so they get to do something because of who you are. And rules are always about the heart behind the rule. It's not about behavior modification, it's about the heart. So when they ask questions about the rules, let them know your heart behind it. Let them know that you care about them. Let them know that you have consistent rules because you have a consistent relationship with them and you want to be around them. And that's why the next thing in consistency is you've got to have a consistent relationship with your student. Like, have consistent points of connection, eat dinner together, go out on shake nights. Students are looking for acceptance, and that only comes from you if you have a consistent relationship with them. If you're consistently at work more than you are at home, if you're consistently on your phone more than you are interacting with them, then they're not going to want the affirmation from you because they haven't gotten it from you. So have consistent times for you to hang out with your student. Find a show to watch together. Go eat at your favorite place together. If they're doing good in school, pull them out for half of a day and play hooky together. That'll be a night that they'll never forget. Like, if you make it a priority to just be with them, then they'll want to be with you. But if you never make it a priority to be with them, then they aren't going to want to be with you. And so have a consistent relationship, and in that consistent relationship, use your words to affirm what you see in them. Affirm them for trying something. Affirm them for being smart. Affirm them for the character that you see inside them. And affirm them for being brave. I'm convinced that one of the best things that my dad and my grandpa ever did when it came to parenting is they got really good at bragging on us and affirming us in front of other people. Like, my dad and I would wrestle, and I'd go upstairs and I'd hear him talking about to my mom about how brave I was or how strong I was, which may or may not work. But I'd hear my grandpa every time we were around, he'd give us a big squeeze and introduce us to somebody. He would just brag on who we were and who we were becoming. So affirm your kids in your consistent relationship. Like, use those words to affirm. And so have consistent reactions, set consistent rules, have a consistent relationship. And the last thing for the teenage years is, man, consistently ask questions. Like, don't ask leading questions, don't ask annoying questions, don't ask questions where you're trying to teach them something. Ask questions where you're actually trying to understand them. I mean, teenagers are already, their brains are working like engineers, so give them good questions to ask into any situation they go into. I always tell our student leaders that help out here at Mission that we should be the best student scientists in the entire world. So we ask questions in order to better understand them and to connect with them. So before you say, when I was your age, and you try to give them some sage wisdom, try to understand them. Maybe say, why do you like that? What do you think about that? What does that mean? Try to enter their world and understand them. Or before you get onto them for watching something or listening something to bad, ask why they like it or what they think it's saying or where they heard that from. They're thinking like an engineer, so ask questions about faith. Like, why do you think God works that way? Why do you think God lets those sorts of things happen? Why do you think God acts that way? Why do you think he responds that way? Friends, ask them why they like certain people. Ask what the funniest thing that their friend has ever said to them is. Ask who they sit by at lunch. Like, ask questions about movies and Netflix and YouTube and music and school that all help you enter into their world and to understand them better and helps them put the pieces of the puzzle together on their own. But the biggest question for the teenage years is the question, who cares? And so our job is to answer this question for them, to not miss out on this, because then when they get into college and later on, they won't be looking for you to answer that question of who cares anymore. They'll be looking for other people to answer. And doors are gonna slam, drama's gonna happen, hormones are gonna soar, friends are gonna break up, abnormal will become the norm. There will be highs and lows and moments of tears and fears and being very unclear. But amidst all of the ups and downs in these changing tides of emotions, now is the time to lean in more than ever. So when they push, prove that you can't be pushed away. When they change, prove that you will love them consistently. When they break your trust, prove that you are someone who can be trusted. And it may seem challenging, but keep up the fight so that in this phase, there's never a reason for your student to wonder, who cares?